Joining us on our guest line, Andrew McCarthy, former prosecutor, writes for National Review and wrote a great piece about the Iraq question conservatives need to do a better job answering. Andy, I know you only have a few minutes with us. Thanks for joining us on such short notice.
My pleasure, Mike.
Hey, let's talk about the premise of this question. I'm really, really bothered by it, and good people are asking it. Megyn Kelly certainly asked it of Jeb Bush. Yesterday, Chris asked it of Marco Rubio. What's your take on this new sort of litmus test for presidential candidates, knowing what we know now, ...
Well, I think, Mike, that the problem is what we knew then. I must say that I've always had a different take on this, maybe, but, you know, I took President Bush seriously, and I still think he was right when he said that the only way, you know, when he announced the Bush Doctrine, which said that what we have to do is attack jihadists wherever they are on earth without limitation, and we have to go after the state sponsors of terrorism and treat them as if, you know, everybody has a choice and you're with us or against us, and if you're with the terrorists, then we treat you like the terrorists. So when we went into Iraq, I didn't think that was the end of the matter. I always thought that Iran was a bigger problem than Iraq, and that they were actually serious, that we were going to go after every state sponsor of terrorism. And if somebody had said at the time, we're going to leave Iran alone, and we're going to go into Iraq to the exclusion of going into Iran, then I think a lot of us would have said, you know, regardless of what the weapons of mass destruction intelligence was, I never thought that was the big deal with Iraq. Mm-hmm. A lot of people didn't. I thought the only logical connection between what we're doing in Iraq and the greater war on terror was the relationship between Saddam Hussein and terrorists, and the WMD were mainly a big problem because of the very real danger that he could share them with jihadist organizations. But you could never win the war that we were in one or two countries. The enemy never thought of it as a war in Iraq or a war in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. So what I always thought the problem was, and I continue to think the problem is that we didn't have a strategic vision of the war that saw the role of Iran in it. And I think if you're going to go, if the idea was we were going to hit Saddam next and then, you know, premise what we were going to do against Iran on the basis of what happened in Iraq, then I was all for it, and I'm still for it, and I still don't think that was a mistake. But if the idea all along was we were just going to do Iraq and we're going to leave Iran alone, and that's the thing that we know now that we didn't know then I don't see how you could say that this was anything other than a mistake.